work smart and hard, So it seemed like when I started the music school, going and networking with these stores where the clients was the smart move. There wasn't instant message. I couldn't send someone a text message. There was no Facebook. So that was when you had to go face to face. Yeah. I mean, to me, it wasn't hard work. It was time consuming, but it was the smart thing to do.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. For today, we have a special guest, Mr. Chris Wilson. He has been a startup founder and owner for 30 years already. Could you believe that? I have owned and run SEO Hacker for just over 10 years now, and it's been a wild ride. I'm sure I can learn a lot from Chris, and I'm sure you learn a lot too. And he started with just playing the guitar as young as a 23-year-old guy, out of his own condo unit, and growing it to a business that has 25 people on staff in the US today. That is amazing. We're going to be learning how he did it, how he had his first hire, his first office, when he decided to turn things into a business, when he decided to professionalize, what's his marketing method, what is his growth engine. Stay tuned and listen up. Hey Chris, thank you so much for being here on the show today.
Glad to be here.
All right, so one of the first questions we ask is, what is the thing that just took off in your mind and in your heart? Why did you start this business? And what's your vision? How did you see it becoming the way that would fund your lifestyle?
Sure. Well, I grew up in a house where my dad started the company when I was about 10 or 11 years old. So I sort of grew up with that. And my dad was in the insurance industry, and like an insurance consultant. And, he had quit his day job and started the business. And initially, it was at the kitchen table. This is in the 70s. And so, they were writing newsletters where you had to actually get them printed. People didn't have computers and things like that. It was quite a process, but we did direct mail, and we were just as children, folding flyers and stuffing envelopes and sealing it, so the whole family was really involved. My Aunt Jean had a typewriter. She would dress the envelopes on a typewriter. And so I grew up the idea of you should own a business. You should always go out and create a business. So I graduated from Berklee College of Music in June or May of 1990, and kind of hung out for a month, kind of did nothing. And then 4th of July weekend, 1990, I moved back to Chicago, got an apartment with my brother, Rob. And I said, all right, I have to get something going. I thought, well, okay, I'm going to start a guitar school. It's 1990 and rock music's really big and people are playing the guitar. And so I started a guitar school. And so I went out that weekend, 4th of July weekend, and started marketing myself to guitar stores. And I would go talk to the salesmen. And I had not printed business cards or, anything like that. I was going to, but it was the weekend. So I made these, took a sheet of paper and drew business cards and cut them out. I mean, they were just so unprofessional, so terrible looking. And I had a handwritten flyer with little tabs. I mean, it was but I was just screw it, I'm going to go out and do it. So right away I was approaching salesmen in stores and saying, hey, look, I'm Chris Wilson. I'm a guitar teacher. If people come in and buy guitars from you, if they take guitar lessons, they're going to stick with it, and they're going to come back and they're going to buy more guitars from you. And I'm going to make sure they come back and buy from you. So you should send all your clients who need guitar lessons to me. And it worked. The phone, right away, I instantly had clients and people paying me. And I was like, oh, this is a really good business. So every Monday I would go around to every guitar shop I could find in Chicago. And by then I had business cards and, tape and flyers, and I would hang up posters and hang up, and hand out business cards and talk to the salesman. And that was how I got my clients. And so, because none of those, they were kind of retail stores, they didn't teach. So that was my initial thing. So every Monday I went out and I hustled and got clients. And then the other couple of days, we used to call it going out postering. We'd hang up flyers, and stuff, and just network and hustle. And then I had some money, so I started doing some newspaper ads. And I was doing this out of an apartment building, and the apartment building was like, you can't do this. You can't run a business out of here. We're not zoned for business. So at that point, I rented space from someone else. There was a retail store, and I rented their office. They had an office like this, and I just paid them hourly. So I didn't have to sign a lease. I wasn't, if I didn't work that day, I didn't pay them. And eventually the store went under, and I got my own space and started, this is 1993, got Yellow Pages ads. and, my own phone number and things like that. And it just sort of kept going. And I always had other things going. I was playing in bands. I taught at a university, like a college. And those things were always sort of all over the place. But this was like the stable business. And it was just the thing that always paid the bills. And it was always growing. And because it was mine, I could control it. I didn't have to worry about, if I was teaching at a university, they might say, oh, you know what, that class you were teaching wasn't as popular. We're not going to do it, this semester. So it's like, oh, wait, I just lost 6 hours a week off my schedule, So I realized that this, what I thought was sort of the part-time thing, the guitar school, was actually the thing, and everything else would be part-time. And so And at some point I incorporated it, legally incorporated it and things like that. And we were busy. And so I started, that next process of you start hiring people, and now you have to manage people, and this was over the course of, this is from 1990 to 1995. Like, that was just the short version of how I got to there.
That's an amazing story. That's amazing.
But I just did it. I didn't write a business plan. There was no, and I still haven't written a business plan. I probably should write one. But, all the stuff that people talk about doing, I went out that weekend and just did it. I didn't say, oh, I got to wait and get business cards. Oh, I have to get this, I have to get that. I'm like, no, I'm just going to go out and sell today. Sell today, eat tomorrow was always the motto.
And did you have a day job when you started doing this?
No day job. So I was right out of college. And so it was almost like the school was my day job. Because, right away I had enough students to pay the bills, like right off the bat. And I joined a band, and the bands worked Fridays and Saturday nights, and that paid something. And so, and no day job. I mean, actually, realistically, I've other than teaching some classes every now and then at a college or a high school, and those are part-time, 3 hours a week. I've never had a job, like a full-time job. I've never really worked for somebody.
Got it. And who taught you that? Where did you get the idea that, oh, this is what I have to do? I just have to get out of my ass and go ahead and knock on these guitar sales people, because they're the ones who's going to be driving me leads. Where'd you get that idea? Yeah.
I mean, specifically that idea, it just, my dad was in the insurance business. I mentioned that. And you would go out and you would have appointments. People would mail back a flyer and you say, oh, I have to go to this company over in this town. And before he went over there, my dad would be, this is before the internet. You got a map. Where am I going? You figure out where you're at. And so it'd be an office park, and there'd be 10 other businesses. So you would cold call. You just knock on the door. Hey, my dad would be like, hey, Bob Wilson, I'm an insurance guy. Hey, if I'd like to do your insurance. And so he would cold call they call it cold calling, canvassing, just hit every office in the office park. Just old school door-to-door salesman. And sometimes people would be like, oh, you know what? Actually, someone just screwed up my insurance policy. Can you take a look at this? And he would be, reviewing someone's insurance policy on the spot. It didn't happen all the time, but I think there's so much money in insurance, you don't need tons of clients. Some of these companies are spending $100,000 a year on insurance. So so that was where I got the idea from. You get up and you hustle. My dad was a guy who got up at 5 a.m. every day and hustled. And so I inherited that from him. And so it just seemed to make sense. Okay, go out and you're going to network and you're going to talk to people. No one's just going to find you. No one's just going to show up at your business, right? They're not going to be like, oh, there you are. We've been looking for you. You have to go out and figure out a way to reach people directly.
For sure. And so that's really good work ethic, getting up at 5 a.m., you seeing your dad do that. But I'm wondering, before you started this guitar business, they say work ethic is built and established early on in life during your teenage years and stuff. And I was wondering, did you work during your college years or high school years to build this work ethic?
Yeah. So as children, and I'm 54. So as children in the 70s, I have a brother, Rob, and he's a year older than me. We had the paper routes. We delivered the newspaper in Chicago. So we got up at 5 a.m. with my dad, and my dad went to work, and we delivered newspapers in the neighborhood before we went to school. So we fold all these newspapers, the Chicago Tribune, the Sun-Times, daily papers basically. And we go around our community and deliver a couple hundred newspapers, come home, have breakfast, and go to school. And we did that every day. Like Christmas Day, before we opened presents, we delivered the newspaper. New Year's Day, we delivered the paper before anything. It was like... So, we had that growing up. And then I got a restaurant job, like working in a kitchen when I was probably 13 years old. I went in and got a job because I wanted to make some more money. And one of my neighbors was working there. So, I would get up, deliver papers at 5 a.m, go to school, and I was a good student, and then work in a pizza restaurant until, midnight. And this is in like 7th grade, 8th grade, like lower school, and all through high school, always work. And then in high school, I worked for my dad. By then I didn't have the paper route anymore. But, if school started at 8 in the morning, working for my dad, you had to be there at 7. I mean, I was up earlier working on summer holiday. I was working for my dad. I was working, it was, you were there longer and earlier than at school. So that was completely normal to me.
Amazing. That just shows the truth about work ethic that you established it early on in life. And your dad did an amazing job just training you and making sure you knew the value of hard work, which is pretty much a lost art right now and a lost discipline with I'm a millennial, by the way. So millennials younger, we always say work smart, don't work hard, but hey, work hard. That's key.
Work smart and hard, So it seemed like when I started the music school, going and networking with these stores where the clients was the smart move. There wasn't instant message. I couldn't send someone a text message. There was no Facebook. So that was when you had to go face to face. Yeah. I mean, to me, it wasn't hard work. It was time consuming, but it was the smart thing to do. I was the only one doing it. None of the other guitar teachers were doing it. They were all complaining, like whatever.
And did you get rejected for some of those guitar stores that you approached?
Yeah. But you had because these are salesmen, right? And so you had, in any business, 20% of the salespeople make 80% of the sales. And then the bottom, they come and go. So when you go in there, week 1, you talk to everybody. You come back week 2, there were 5 guys. Now there's one of the guys is missing and there's a new guy. By the end of the month, there's really one guy who's there every week. And the other 4 guys are just transitioning. So you figure out, okay, I really only need to talk to this guy. The rest of these guys aren't going to be here. And then at some point, this guy's the sales manager. And then at this point, the guy's the store manager, and so, you watch him move up. So you can kind of see, okay, you figure out who the person is very quickly, who's going to hook you up. And they know that you're sending them clients.
Yeah. How often would you get frustrated that the guy I was talking to and building this relationship with, he's gone because he's one of the bottom 80%.
Yeah, and I realized early on, it was like, okay, so it was just like with my dad's companies. It's like, there are the top salespeople. There are the people who go out and hustle, and there are the people who do things. And then there's kind of the other people. And so you don't know, you give everyone a chance, and it just seemed like the thing. I actually liked the hustle, and I liked out working, and I really didn't want to get a job. I didn't want to have to get a job. I had a music degree. So what was I going to go do? I always wanted to be a guitarist. I was pursuing what I wanted to do. So it seemed to make sense to say, okay, there's going to be some obstacles along the way, but you don't give up,
Oh, hey, and since you're here, can you do me a favor? Can you hit on the subscribe button and hit the bell button and select all notifications so that whenever we have a new video, you're going to be the first one to know. Until then, keep leading.
I don't love 100% of my job. There are parts of my job that I don't like. And ganun talaga. It's really like that. Work is like that. There are some parts that you're not gonna like. I wouldn't focus too much on passion. I know a lot of people, not a lot of speakers would say, focus on your passion. But if I'm gonna choose between skill set and passion, I'm gonna choose skill set.